Nice,
Are
nice,
you
nice.
are you gonna release finals?
I don't think so.
Oh no! Okay, that's weird.
Well, getting into your games, so Deep End Games, this is your second one. Your first one was Perception,
Yes.
which
Great game.
loved that game. Had a
Thank
wonderful
you.
time.
Oh,
I'm too scared to play it.
Loved it.
It was so,
But
there
I
was
watched-
a
I
lot
watched
of
Scrape play it.
screaming. Yeah. But
Yeah,
it was so cool and so unique. Which
definitely.
it was really cool to see that, like you did this like very unique, very original idea horror game, and now you're doing a like side-scrolling platformer action dating sim with Romancelvania.
yeah, it's not exactly like an A to Z thought.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, that's totally the direction the deep end is heading. But,
I think they're connected so well, actually.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like pop up. I want to hear how they're connected.
That's
I don't.
No, that's I'm excited personally because
Yeah.
I'm a massive platformer and a big dating sim fan.
What was the idea for this game? Like the starting point?
Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy. So after Perception, we were working on another horror game. And we were in development. Like we had even gone to PAX and started to like tease the thing. Like we had all these crazy painted masks. It was called Dark Web. But my husband, Bill, our creative director, so we've been together 23 years. And one of the things that we do is at Halloween time, we play Symphony of the Night. It's just a thing that we
Amazing,
do.
yes.
It's a
Great.
ritual, as one would say in Castlevania terms. And one year, we were working on Dark Web, and Bill was playing Symphony of the Night, and we're kind of like laughing and making jokes about like, why does Dracula have like Salem witches in his mansion? And like, what are these monsters doing there? Did they have a big party? And he started laughing. He goes, wait. Romancelvania, like Transylvania, but with romance. And so I just
hilarious.
stopped me in my tracks. I was shook, and I just was like, take my money. Like, I don't even know what it is. Yes, like, and so we had kind of just been like, oh, wouldn't it be fun to like work on? And we're like, we don't even know what it is, but yes. And so we started to sort of like tease the word to our dev friends. We're like, hey. So if we just say this word to you, we kind of want to get like a read on you, like Romancelvania. And they're like, what do I need to do to get in on this? And just, but this was before we even knew what it was. And we were just like, we knew that it had to have, elements of Castlevania and elements of romance, and so we started to put the vision together, and it came together really fast. And at one point Bill said, like, I mean, are we gonna do this? Are we gonna abandon Dark Web? And it was a full body yes. It was a hell yes from the bottom of our souls, all of us. Like, it was just a collective, oh my God, we have to make this. And we're so glad we did, because every single day of production has been the best day of production. It has been so much fun to work on. Like, every day we come in and we laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh and write some more and do completely stupid, out of the box, bizarre things that make us laugh. And we're like, I'm pretty sure it's going to make other people laugh. I don't know. Let's find out. Like, just throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. But it's been just a romp, a ride, a journey. It's been great.
I
That's
love
awesome.
That is so good to hear.
That is good.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That was like something I wanted to know, like, kind of when it comes to like creating games, like after you're done, or like how far it is, do you guys enjoy your work afterwards, or like are you guys like really critical, and like how does that go?
Every day. I mean, obviously you have to be critical, right? Like,
Right.
Yeah.
you have to have that part of you that's like, well, I'm snort laughing at this, but will others? Or this game, like, I'm having fun with it, but like, does it hold up? And ultimately, yeah, every day we still have fun. Like, I'm still having fun coming in, and we're ready to launch in a week. Just seeing like new artwork come in, seeing fan art come in, like my heart, like, oh God. The day I like truly lose it is when I start to see the cosplayers, though. Like, that's when I'm gonna be
Yeah.
like, that's like my ultimate goal, is to see people dressed as these beautiful characters.
That's great.
I have to piggyback off of that. So like I have this problem when I don't necessarily know when my projects are done.
Mm.
do you find that you kind of do you have that as well, where it's like you're not entirely sure where the natural end is for making a game?
When the list goes down and down and down and down of like the things you have to do. So like for a while you're like, oh, there's still a lot that needs to be done. And then eventually you're like, I'm really just gilding the lily at this point. I'm kind of polishing, and like this functions kind of like great. And so, for a while it seems like there's no end in sight. But then all of a sudden when you see that list dwindling and you're like, oh my God, is this what it feels like? And of course, there's going to be patches and there's going to be stuff that we continue to iterate on. But that those couple times where you lock and you're like, oh wow, no, like it's locked. We're not putting any more conversations.
Right.
Yeah. So like, oh.
That's cool.
I think you have 12 romance candidates in this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
How did you guys go about picking which monsters? Did any get cut that we might see in DLC?
Yeah. So it was a process of just like joyous brainstorming. Like, I wanted this and I wanted that. And, we put tons and tons of characters out there. And then, so my brain starts to go to like types of romantic tropes, right? You have friends to lovers, you have enemies to lovers, you have, like all of the different romance tropes. And then I started to sort of like assign them, like what monster would actually be a really great friends to lovers, which would be a really great enemies to lovers. So I start to sort of like do the broad tropes. And then I start to be like, okay, like who is this person? And I do say person because ultimately these monsters are more human than we are, like they have backstories, they have histories, they're very rich. Like I wrote a 500-page script for this game. Like this is
I love that.
Very
So
very
that's
expansive if you want to experience all of it. It's not the kind of thing where I'm going to bog you down with like nothing but story. It's like if you want to go talk to Vess in her room after this happens, go for it. You'll hear some really interesting stuff. Or like if you want to date Lyra seafood restaurant, you can do that. So it's like endless replayability with who you're romancing, who you're cutting, because it is a reality dating show and you do cut people. So elimination's the thing.
I'm gonna cry.
Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's a nice cathartic kind of moment. Yeah, I did. We did sort of like take all these monsters, take all these tropes, start to like get these little individual personalities going. And some of them did hit the cutting room floor because they weren't ready yet. But they're, I'm willing to revisit. There are still ones that kind of are in the back of my mind being like, oh, what if? And then sometimes I'll just be thinking and be like, ooh, that would be a great dateable monster. And, I'm always keeping, all writers have little plot bunnies that hop around and you just got to keep them in a plot bunny farm. So I've got there are monster bunnies that exist.
That's great.
Do you have a favorite character?
So that's like picking a favorite child, and I have 4 children. It honestly, it depends on the day. However, TSL has a really big place in my heart because she's made of pumpkins, and I love pumpkins. And
I see
puns, and she makes such ridiculous puns that I can't not love her, and she's just very joyous. So PSL. And just don't tell the rest of my characters.
Secret.
Yeah, when I saw the pumpkin one, I screamed. I was like, that is awesome.
Yeah.
I like stuff like that.
Brainstorming that one was hilarious. So we're all in the basement and I am a fall basic bitch. I'm sorry, but I don't know if I can't swear on this channel.
Oh, you can swear
fine.
away.
When it comes to autumn, I am like an autumn aficionado. So I got my scarf and my boots and my pumpkin spice latte. And I'm just sitting there being a basic, being like, we should have just a pumpkin lady. So she's a witch. Yes. Drink. Wait a minute. She's a scarecrow. So maybe she's kinky. Maybe she likes being tied up there. Drink. And by the end of this coffee-filled chaos, we had PSL.
Oh, wow.
And you know what's my one of my dirty little secret guilty pleasures is I'll go into a Starbucks in the off season and be like, psst, I know you've got some pumpkin spice out back. And they're like, I'm like, take me one. Put it in as a pistachio latte. Nobody will know.
That's my wife.
smart.
Oh,
I know
man.
that you were tweeting recently about actually the writing and like the dialogue of if the world is ready for your puns.
Oh
There's a
man.
lot of puns in this.
Oh man, like I'm like dad joke central. Like I hate to say it, but like
No,
I
we
make
love it.
a lot of puns. I make a lot of dad jokes. And like PSL is gonna hit the brunt of my puns. Like she's gonna be like the vehicle for most of my jokes. But like the humor is really scattershot, but like in a good way. So when you have 12 characters, they can have different senses of humor, which play off different audiences. So when you're watching a TV show, for example, if you don't get if you don't like that kind of humor, the show's either hit or miss for you. So for me, my favorite like comedy is Arrested Development. Like I love the puns.
I love
the
Arrested Development.
the verbal humor, whereas like a lot of people like Big Bang Theory, and for me that does not work. But when you have a story with a cast of characters that you can interact with, and like they can each have kind of different humor styles, like we've got a lot of like stupid 90s retro humor of music. We've got like there's just lots of different little nods and like, oh my god, I can't believe they made a reference to that. And like, so it's scattershot but in a cohesive way, because it's sort of like tied to different like if you're more of like kind of the humor of a bro dude, like Brosifer will probably crack you up. Like, you know,
That's great.
if you like this scathing snarkasm, you're probably going to enjoy Vest. So it's humorous. I take full responsibility for the puns that I use. But yeah, that answers your question.
Yes, I'm so excited for the puns.
Yeah, that's gonna be wonderful.
And don't eliminate PSL. Keep her on the show.
Okay.
Don't put her up.
It's yeah, you mentioned the 90s. Did you ever watch This Is Spinal Tap?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was thinking about it while you were talking that, and I was just like, that is my humor.
Yeah. I love Best in Show, and I love
Yeah.
oh god, the one with the musical, Waiting for Guffman. Yeah, I love all of those. Yeah, they're great.
It's hilarious to me because it's like it's such an exaggeration of what it is to be like a touring musician, but it's so not at the same time.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, our game is like it's a parody of reality dating shows, but it's a reality dating show. So.
Yeah. I'm taking this all to heart. I'm gonna learn some things from this game.
Oh yeah.
Honestly,
this game does have surprising depth. A lot of people who kind of like come out of playing it be like, I didn't expect to feel things. What have you done? So.
I was kind of wondering about that because it does give the air of like it's a very fun game. And so I was wondering if there were like deeper moments. How did you like balance that of like when to get deep, when to just like keep it fun?
Well, so again, player choice is a really big pillar for us. And so we let you have these conversations like at the bar, for example, and like sometimes you can ask questions that are a little bit deeper, a little bit more serious, or you don't have to ask those at all. And there are some characters that have a much more serious storyline. And then there are some that have completely lighthearted storylines. So there are varieties in depth. But all characters do ultimately have these like long backstories, but they're not all sad, but they all, like I said, they're human, right? Like what's a big problem to one of the characters is nothing to one of the others who's been through a lot more, but that doesn't diminish them. It just means they're having, they've fought different struggles in their lives. So, there's definite, like, especially like when you get towards the end and like you're taking people on like their final dates and you're kind of resolving some like big stuff that's happening in their lives. Like, there are some moments like it actually PSL's final date. Like if you take a certain branch, it gets a little bit like, get me a tissue, but if you don't, it doesn't. So again, player choice.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's great to have that like depth and replayability of like exploring and that's so cool.
That is cool.
So jumping off of that, of like your love for PSL, who do you think is going to be a fan favorite character?
We've seen a lot of love for Vess. So Vess is our genie. And people really like her kind of carefree, a little bit aloof attitude. Like she just gives kind of like cool girl energy without being like an exclusionary cool girl. Like she's like the cool girl you want to hang out with, not the cool girl you're being like iced by, you know. And she's very special to me because Vess has been around in my head for about 14 years. So about 14 years ago, I wrote a book called Wicked Spirits. It was about this genie named Vess. It was about a heartbroken genie named Vess. And I got an agent. She's wonderful. She tried to sell the book, but 14 years ago, there was no market for urban fantasy. Like publishers were coming to me being like, we love this, but we can't even sell our own authors. And so the book sat on a shelf for years and years and years and years. And then when we were concepting Romancelvania and we were talking about monsters, I sort of said to Bill, I was like, what about my girl Vess? And he was like, oh my God, a genie. Oh my God, that would be amazing. And then to see the artists bring her to life and then to hear the voice actors bring her to life, it was like just unbelievable to me to see Vess become a real girl. And it was just like, oh God, it was just really, really emotional. And the voice actress Paige McNamara just does such an amazing job at making her so cool. She's just so cool. Like people like Vess. I think you'll like Vess. But Vess is pretty physically unattainable for Drac. Vess is cursed, and she's like, "Listen, Drac, like straight up, things are not going to happen, okay?" But they develop this really beautiful relationship despite her limitations, and it's really, really, really a nice story. But yeah, I think people will like Vess. We have a lot of love for Fenton, the fancy man wolf.
Yeah.
I have found some interesting internet comments.
Oh
Oh
no.
But I'm here for it. Hey man, I wrote him, like I take full responsibility. But Fenton's funny because I consider Fenton my best friend. So not like man's best friend because he's a dog, but like I wrote Fenton to talk about books and cheese with. Okay, like that is the nice about Romancelvania is that you can befriend characters. You don't have to go the romantic route with all of them.
Nice.
So that you feel more comfortable in conversations. Fenton, like I'll just be like, books, cheese, more books, and we just talk about books and cheese. I don't take a romantic route with Fenton because I just love to talk about fancy things with him.
I'm
So,
sorry,
yeah,
I think you
people-
just came up with a DLC there, books and cheese.
There you go.
Romancelvania, books and cheese. It's literally just talking, me and Fenton talking. That's just it. It's a self-insert. But yeah, so I think that those three characters roughly have been what we've seen people gravitate towards. But it's funny, like a lot of people love Lyra. She's like the goth mermaid. She's so gorgeous. And you know, we get a lot of love for Soul, who's like our sexy rival vampire to dress. So I mean, who
That's my
knows?
bias.
Let's find out. Okay. That's what I'm So what's super fun about Soul is when you get to Soul's area, you see all of the paintings. So without giving away too much of Soul's backstory, Soul is obsessed with his own image and has hundreds of paintings of himself in his house. But like all of our artists really did these. So there is so much beautiful Soul artwork. If you're in his house and you take the time to look at all the paintings, they are gorgeous. And some of them are really funny. Like we would be like, do a knockoff of like The Kiss, do a knockoff of that 1980s lady that's in like The Dentist, and like, you know what I mean? Like just like do a knockoff of this. And so that's one of my favorite parts of the game is going through Soul's house and looking at all of the gorgeous artwork of him. Also, gorgeous artwork of a gorgeous man. So, you know.
That also makes me the bounce off of that. I was going to ask when it comes to like level design, character design, that type of thing, which is something I try to do. I'm not that good at, but what inspires you to get the ideas for like the characters and their look or the levels and things like that?
So I can't speak to levels. That's more of a Bill thing. But when we're concepting the characters, I want to tap into a core fantasy and iterate on it. So for Drac, I was like, I want Drac to be the Elvis of vampires. I want people to see him and want to claw at themselves, screaming. They're so excited, like the way women would just freaking lose their shit over Elvis. I'm like, I want to iterate on that core fantasy, right? And with Lyra, the siren, right? That goth mermaid. I'm like, I want like lush goth queen that like when I was in high school, I would be like, I just want to draw her in my notebook. Oh my God. Like that is the core fantasy of that, like it like twisted dark mermaid, and like, so you would just sort of like, yeah, for us, we just sort of like tap in, like, what is the core fantasy here? And for Soul, it was, this like untouchably beautiful, icy, cold, distant vampire who's like the new celebrity, but kind of is so cool that he's not even into it, like that ultra level of cool. And so, yeah, we kind of just found that core fantasy and iterated on it. So, and we have very, very, very talented concept artists. We have Reiko Murakami, who is she's just legendary. She's worked on I've been to so many conferences where she's like the artist guest of honor. I'm like, that's Reiko. She works on our game. She's made beautiful characters and crazy enemies for us. Like, and she's cool because like she's kind of uncensored too when it comes to just let the crazy out. Like when I'm writing, I'm like, let the crazy out. Like when we're designing this, let the crazy out. She has come up with the most bizarre concepts for monsters, and we're like, yes, I will take this weird like head banging skull that looks like from the net. Like, yes, yes, Reiko. So like one of the keys to this game has been like saying yes to the weird. Yes. Yes. We want more, please. More weird. Yes.
That's great.
Speaking about like what is gameplay going to be like? Can like players expect a challenge in combat? I think I saw in your trailer that a lawnmower was a weapon.
Yeah.
So that is in one scene. We do have a very domestic, sort of almost like 1950s sitcom area.
I love that.
And also dateable character there. I'm not going to say too much. That we have varying difficulty levels. Again, player choice, right? Like if you want to play it the way I would play it, I would put it on easy. I would talk to every single person, have max out every single conversation, and then just kind of blast through the quests. That's how I play the BioWare games. That's how I play Dragon Age and Mass Effect. I want to spend as much time either on the ship or at the campfire as possible. And then I'm like, yeah, bless them guys, whatever. And then come back and do like the conversing and all that stuff. However, that's not your style of gameplay. You don't have to have every conversation. You don't have to go on every date. You don't have to, like, oh, I really don't want to take Brosifer to the meatball garden. Okay, don't, like nobody's yeah.
Great.
We've got the meatball garden. It's a delightful date spot. And there may or may not be a boss in there, and I'm not gonna say anymore.
Can I date the boss?
Oh my God, would that be DLC or what? Right?
There you go.
Yeah.
I know you'd worked with Sarah Longfield, the guitarist. How was that?
So we got I wish I had something cooler to tell you, but we got connected to her through a friend of a friend, and she always wanted to get, into game dev music. So we were like, hey, here's a level, like write something cool, I guess. And when she came back with this like really cool vibe,
yeah, she's so good at that.
Yeah, so there's one level, and you'll know what it is. Like, you'll know it, and it features her really haunting, beautiful, vibey music. So yeah, you're gonna have to like message me after you play, be like, I know which one. I know which one.
So for like throughout the course of development, did you guys have like any surprising challenges come up, or like something that you wish you had known before, of like some trick or something that you tried and you're just like never doing that again?
Oh, so kind of like things I wish I knew earlier.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We should have hopped on the Artisy train as soon as possible. So Artisy is a program that allows you to put dialogue into the game and sort of customize a lot of things about it. Like you can have this portrait or that portrait, or like it plays this sound, or it has this effect. So Artisy, ARTICY,
thank you,
is if we did not have Artisy, there would be no Romancelvania, because when we first started, we started with a spreadsheet, and that was Artisy is a lifesaver. I write the game for me, so I've written novels. I wrote Perception, which was linear. I write them as a script. I'm going to be honest. I write them as a script because that's how it comes to me. That's how it makes sense to me. That's how it works for me. So what I did individually, if you want to know my methodology, so I would write the branch for each character, like the romance progression with Drac for each character in different docs. Like, so this is the Vess branch. This is the Brosifer branch. This is the Lyra branch. And then I have the main spine of the story, which has like the beginning, all of the connective bits, the end. And then I had a doc full of just the in-world dates, and we have 75. Again, so it totals about 500 pages. So that's how I wrote it, because that's how it made sense to me. And then our producer, Lindsay, she's like a producer, audio director. She does a million things. She was the one who put the script into Artisy, just because like my realm is strictly creative. I am not a techie person at all. So she did that, but like Artisy saved her life, made my life a million times better. So yeah, that's something, if we could have done it from day one, we would have.
That's awesome.
That's really, I love your process. I feel like that makes sense. And it's just like, it's very clean.
I'm glad it makes sense to you, because I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, did I do this in a really bad roundabout way? But like, ultimately, I don't think of any other way I could have done it and gotten as much out of it as I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And it
cool.
made voice recording sessions much easier, because they only had to look at their one,
Oh,
That
Okay.
would,
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Because like Gray, you're an actor, so
I am.
it probably would be so much nicer for you, that sort of thing.
But I'm also a writer, so it's just like, yeah, no, like having it clear like that, just
Yeah.
it's a brilliant process.
You just send
take
the
it.
software to every director ever. Just like, please.
Yeah.
On the back of that question, what would you say is your do's and don'ts of developing a game or promoting and releasing it?
Sure. I would say do take risks,
Okay.
because playing it safe is just not worth it. I would say do what makes you happy, because working, like, as much as we liked Dark Web, it did not give us the tremendous amount of joy we got on working in Romancelvania. So if it's not, this is something I tell my kids, I tell my students, I tell everybody, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. Like, we only have so much bandwidth, right? Like, we only have so much that we can give our capacity and give our all to. And if it is not like then maybe think about doing something else or cutting it out. Like, obviously there are some things that we have to do. I don't look at the dishes and be like, yes. Right? Those are not like
Put the dishes in the trash, buy
voluntary-
new ones.
Right. Those aren't like, oh, should I do the dish? No, I have to. I do have 4 hungry children that aren't going to eat off the counter.
Right.
So, but when it comes to things that are within your sphere of influence that you can say either yes or no to, I'm a big fan of like if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. So those are some things I would say. I would say scope is important. Like, always have in mind how big you want something to be. This game got way bigger than we planned. Did I say I had a 500-page script? Oh yeah, I guess I did. Make sure that you can sort of rein in, start from a place of like what your parameters are going to be, and expect it's probably going to be a little bit more. I really like, if we could rewind, I wouldn't want to change how big we made it, but I would have changed how we planned that arc, right? But it just, ultimately we wanted to make the best game possible. So again, like we took risks. We didn't censor ourselves. We put it all out there. We let it be crazy. We let it be wild, because, I think we need more joy and more laughs and more like different stuff, right? I'm tired of every single game being a remaster. I want new stuff. I
Yeah.
want
Yes.
It's like,
stories.
of course we have like our loves and such with video games, and we're just like, oh yeah, we want more of this. But ultimately there's so much being released now. I've been saying over the last month, because of some like discourse going on with some video games, that it's like, if if you don't want to support that, you don't have to, because
Right.
there's 100 other games that
Right.
are released this
So
month,
much.
probably.
For sure.
Like, so that kind of individuality, that like that take risks, that like do whatever your mind has got going on right now,
Right.
is brilliant advice.
Well, I mean, or else it's going to get lost in a sea of. I mean, I've seen statistics of how many games were released on Steam the year Perception came out versus how many were released on Steam now, and it's like, oh, well, then again, nobody's going to forget the one where you make out with Dracula, right?
Right.
That's true.
I certainly won't.
Yeah. Well, I won't either.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I recall correctly, I think you guys started development for this. Was it like 3 years ago?
Yeah, over 3 years ago. Pretty crazy.
I feel like that's so quick. And you guys had like a super successful Kickstarter campaign. So like, how does it feel like having, I mean, I could be wrong in that it's not actually quick, but I feel like, like this quick development and with like such immense support from the community.
So the Kickstarter was craziest. No, like it's a good story. Like it was
Okay.
crazy.
What do you mean by that? Like messaging people?
Well, we started to put the game out there, and at the beginning of the Kickstarter, and we messaged all our old folks from Perception. We messaged a lot of
I see.
a lot of our people in the retro game community. So when we first started the Kickstarter, we just didn't have the messaging right. We didn't have the crowd right, and it didn't fund in the first. So apparently, like a lot of people game the system with Kickstarter. What you're supposed to do to be successful is set an ultra low goal, blast through it in the first 48 hours. And then once you're funded, then people come in and give you all the money and like give you all the help.
Okay.
And because we wanted to be honest and transparent, like, no, we're not going to make this game for 20 grand. What? No, because we put a more realistic number there. And we didn't smash through that goal in the first 48. We had literally marketing companies that we were going to pay be like, yeah, you guys aren't going to fund, like, just quit now. And we were like, I'm sorry, quit now, like relaunch the camp. Like, what do you even mean? But we did have ultimately found this core of people who started to tell their people, who started to tell their people, who started to tell their people.
Yeah.
However, we were about 48 hours from the end of the campaign before we hit the spike and funded. We set Kickstarter history. We were not going to fund. We actually had somebody on our team be like, peace out. You did a good job. And somebody was sending Bill a condolence letter like, hey, it looked like it was going to be a really fun game. And that just pissed us off. We were like,
Yeah.
no, like this isn't happening. Like, we have found our people. We found our message. Let's get active. And so I had the idea of like messaging our current backers, be like, hey, for the cost of a pizza, we could fund this game if everybody just put in another 10, or like tell 10 friends. Or I started to get on some Discord communities and just be like, hey, listen, this is a cool game. It's really neat. I think it should have a chance to happen. And basically we funded in the last 48 hours and nobody saw it coming. All of the projections, like there are all sorts of ways that you can project Kickstarters. It was crazy. So started off on the wrong foot, didn't game the system, didn't find our people yet, couple things. And then ultimately it was like, yes, here are our people. Like, here is the game. Here is our community. We love them, etc. But yeah, I think it was because we were in the horror space before, and that's sometimes like the Venn diagram isn't so huge. We love our Perception fans, but they don't necessarily, not all of them necessarily want to play a wacky slapstick dating game, right? Like, and that's not their fault. It's not their thing, and that's fine. I mean, a lot of the internet hate early on was unfortunate, but that was more just like in Facebook groups and like not necessarily facing us, but it was just disappointing to be like, oh wow, that's like not a point of view that I thought I would get. Well, this game, like, we're just having fun. Like, this is just a fun little romp. But that honestly went away. Like, it's crazy. Like, when our Steam demo came out, the reviews and the streamers and whatnot, like, were through the roof excited, and they were so overwhelmingly positive. Like, one reviewer, like from a really big outlet, was like, "This is the best Steam Next Fest demo I've ever played." And we're like, "Oh, okay, all right, our people." So like, they're there, they're there. But yeah, the Kickstarter took a year off my life.
Oh gosh. I'm so
That
glad
is
though that
great.
you did find the right people and
Oh,
it
yeah.
and it
I
worked.
mean, we knew
Oh,
they were out there. Like we couldn't be the only people who wanted to play something like this. Come on. And like
Oh.
once like we saw how many people were like, did you custom make this for me? We're like, yeah, we should all hang out.
See, that's kind of the thing when it's like people coming after like video games or TV shows or something because of like any kind of LGBTQIA plus representation,
Mm,
they die out. And at
Yeah.
the end, they're not gonna be here. They're not gonna be a part of your space anymore.
and also like a lot of them are like, you don't see that in Symphony of the Night. I'm like,
Right?
no, no,
Because this isn't Symphony of the Night.
it's not. But
Yeah.
at the same time, like I look at Alucard as the most gorgeously androgynous character ever.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you can't look at the Castlevanian series and be like, that is so straight.
That is a straight alpha, like, like
Yeah.
Yeah, Alucard is
So
definitely.
that's why I was like, oh sweetie, like do you even
I'm
Alucard? Like do you even
do you even Alucard? I love that.
I don't know.
Do you happen to spend time on Tumblr?
You
I love
should.
Alucard.
Yeah. No, but that's actually a good point. Promoting your game for what it is on Tumblr is probably a good idea if you haven't, because gays.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think we have a really great publisher who is doing all sorts of fun TikToks and Instagrams, and I think they're doing some Reddit stuff. I'm not sure if they've done Tumblr, but I have a feeling that like it will reach the Tumblr.
Oh yeah.
all
reach
things have a way.
Right, like
Yeah.
like nature will find a way, like organically. Like I believe this will get into the hands of the people who it's gonna vibe with, right?
Yeah.
Gays. I'm sorry. This is my entire personality. I'm so sorry.
Is there anything that we didn't ask you that you maybe want to include?
I think people like if this resonates, like share it. You know, like if you
Yeah.
look at PSL and you're like, I love this pumpkin lady, share her, like wish list it, you know, stream. I think that this is going to be so fun to watch people stream to see who they choose and who they eliminate and like which dates
Yes.
take people on, because the dates are limited. Like when you get to like the apple picking date, you can only pick a couple people. Right. So like, who's it going to be? And then other streamers are going to pick other, like, so it's, I don't know. I think it's going to be really, really fun to watch. So just, we made this in our basement. This was like family, so this isn't some giant AAA thing. This was like a husband and wife and sister. So my sister-in-law, Lindsay, is the producer. She usually sits in the green chair. And Bill and myself, and we contract some really, really wonderful people, but it's hard. Like this is like a family made from our hearts, kind of thing. And, it's just, if you like it, share it. And I think people will, and I hope
That's
they will.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
I think I think there's a lot to say about that, like especially when it comes to wish listing on Steam, because this is not a critique or anything, but like you would say, like the average gamer doesn't necessarily know like how important those like wish listing and sharing around is, because it's free.
Yeah.
But it really helps boost you in like I'm gonna say Steam's algorithm, just for
it does.
umbrella term.
Absolutely does. Yeah. So wish listing. Yeah. And it comes
Yeah,
out next week. It comes out March
on the
7th.
I'm so excited. Yeah, it's
I'm excited
March
too.
7th for PS5, Xbox, and PC, and you're waiting for for Switch and PS4, correct?
Yeah. So those have a later date. We don't know yet.
Let's follow on Twitter and you'll find out.
Yeah. So EGS will be on Epic Game Store as well.
Oh, nice.
Exciting.
Nice.
And just I'm on Twitter. I'm at Amanda S. Gardner, or you can talk to at the Deep End Games. I love talking and answering questions, and like if anybody's ever like, what inspired that, or like tell me more, like I could talk a blue streak about it. So
Oh, I did
That's
actually
great.
have one more question, which I know that this is probably so early.
okay.
Do you have any thoughts of a potential next project or DLC for the game?
Well, I think that the game really lends itself to DLC. I think the idea of DLC is very natural. Like sometimes DLC is like, what? Like, why would you shoehorn in? Like, this seems so unnatural. But with Romancelvania, I mean, like, reality shows have seasons. Reality shows have people who surprise come in the middle of the, towards the finale, So I think that it lends. Yeah, like it lends itself very well to this game, and I look forward to being able to expand if we can. Like, if it's a success, I want to expand this as much as possible. I can think of a million fun monsters I would want to add, or a million fun areas and things and crazy bosses, and like we could just keep going with this. Like if I could spend the rest of my life making fun monsters to date, like that would be a good life.
Yeah, right.
So I think I have a really, really good idea for DLC.
Okay.
Like this is really, really important.
Okay.
I think the writing team really need to pay attention to this one.
I'm the only member of the team, so I'm
That's impressive.
So can I interest you in adding an otter to this game? Just a little guy, just a little friend.
We do have a cute little friend, little Badaboom. He's a little bat, and he follows you.
The camera. Yeah.
Gives you buffs. He carries you around the little spotlight.
Oh, that's cute.
I would have to say it would have to be some kind of supernatural or ghostly or haunted otter.
Listen, it's right here in front of you.
Okay. I mean, that is Okay.
We can all be little ghosts in the game.
I'll put that otter in the plot bunny farm. Somebody was saying that we should have like a recipe book full of drinks because we have a bartender.
Oh yeah.
Like we have all of these crazy drinks that like the characters like, oh, maybe we should have a little cookbook.
That'd be nice.
The werewolf character, was it not?
Fenton doesn't drink alcohol.
My people. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's so rare that there's that kind of representation. I'm so happy.
Well, it's what turns him into the beast. So and by the beast we mean an asshole human from South Boston. So
that's hilarious.
Love that.
He's a fancy man, but he's not a werewolf. He's like a were-human.
I love that.
Like his wolf side is his good side, and so he not touch the beverages. He just wants the cheese.
That's
Go.
You gotta have the cheese.
Oh yeah, cheese is great.
So
Love the
if you all
cheese.
don't mind, I want to ask a couple of questions more personal to you. So not like a what's your favorite color, but like what would you say are your top 5 video games?
Oh boy, Persona 5. I'm such a Persona 5 fan. It's so embarrassing. Like I love it.
So many of our friends are Persona 5 fans.
It's ridiculous. Like I have 2 jobs and 4 kids, but I put 100 hours, like 120 hours in that game, and then bought Royal, and then bought Royal. Like what? Okay, so Persona 5 for sure. Ocarina of Time.
Yes.
Vanilla World of Warcraft. I used to play like 40 hours a week before children. It was not cool. It was
a full-time job in World of Warcraft.
I can't touch the stuff right now.
Right.
Obviously,
you're in Miss Pandaria.
Even if my husband was not on the team, it's still such a formative and groundbreaking. And
Bioshock is great.
I don't have like a
Bioshock
poster over there and like a whole bunch of merch. I don't know what you're talking about.
No worries. I think for my final game, I'm going to do a throwback to the most formative game of my childhood, which was the King's Quest series. I think
Yes.
And the fact that it was written by a woman, I was like a girl in the 80s. Like Roberta Williams was like my hero.
Yeah.
I never thought of like that I could do that one day, right? Like just amazing. So King's Quest 5, King's Quest 6, those were really, 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 really formative for me. I loved fantasy. I loved video game. Like I would sit at my PC, kid in the 80s with the giant computer, So yeah, I would say that those are my top 5 in no particular order.
That's fantastic.
I love that. I didn't know that was written by a woman. That's awesome.
Yeah, Roberta Williams. She's amazing. She's a legend. Yeah.
So what got you into making games?
Well, so I mentioned earlier that Bill and I have been together for 23 years. We've been married for 18. He would be working on the BioShock games and whatnot, and like would come home and kind of like workshop ideas with me because I was writer, I was writing my books, and so he would workshop my books. And so we've always been creative partners. But when Irrational closed, like we were faced with, really hard decisions of what we're gonna do. I had quit my job as a teacher to be home with our kids, and it was all on Bill. I was just writing books at home and trying to sell them. And so one day he came up with the idea for Perception. He was like, "Will you write it?" And I was like, "I write books. I don't know how to write video games." He was like, "Just write it as a script. Like, I'll make it. Just let's do this." And so we started kind of iterating on these ideas, and it was really cool. And I just learned. I just did. I said, "Okay, like this is what we're doing. This is what we're putting all our eggs in this basket. We're gonna do it." So
I love
really cool.
that. Yeah, and I seem to
So,
recall from the event that I organized several years ago that you and Bill, in which you participated, I think you told a story of working on Perception, but like while sick and like being held up with pillows, but then
it
also
was-
like your kids all around.
So production on Perception was hard. We had an infant and a newborn. So it like a 1-year-old and a newborn, which I do not recommend. And then we had 2 elementary schoolers. And like I said, all our eggs were in this basket. This was our sole everything. This was it, right? And we were just putting our all into it, and also still trying to take care of the family. And we both didn't leave the house, so like days bled into each other. I had no idea what time it was, what day it was. We just knew where we were in the production schedule, and we got so overworked from ourselves, not from any external forces, that we both came down with stress-induced mono
Oh my
Ooh.
gosh.
Oh.
during PAX and GDC. I just thought that's what PAX felt like. No, turns out it was mono. PAX is actually much nicer than that. So we did PAX and GDC. We didn't realize that's what we had. We just thought we were really run down, but like no, our immune systems were like, stop it. You need to take care of yourself.
Oh man.
I made drastic life changes after that, though. I started meditating, learned yoga, became vegan. Like I literally changed my life because we were so sick and run down that I was like, we need like a full reboot of our bodies right now.
Yeah.
Right.
So I actually, it changed my life for the better because I am now a yoga teacher and a meditation teacher. I speak all around the country. And like I love it so much. It really helps so much. I'm no longer vegan, but I was for 5 years. And then the pandemic hit, and I was like, I just want to, I don't know, sit around at home and make food. And a lot of it was limited. So yeah.
Yeah, that happened to a lot of us.
So production on Perception was very stressful because of the infants and the pressure. They're actually like, people were so fascinated by how we made it that there's like an entire documentary on it. There's a game I would look up. Game-umentary on the Deep End Games. I think it's just on YouTube. But yeah, they did a documentary on us and just making the game from home and how we do that. And I want you to keep your eyes out though, because we did do a recent dev diary on Romancelvania. And
I love a dev diary.
It's going to be so fun. What we did was on our anniversary, like it was our 17-year wedding anniversary, our publisher rented out this place called Maison Vampire in Salem, Massachusetts. And like we did all of these interviews with the team there, and it's spooky and gothic and fun. And so you're going to hopefully get to see that dev diary maybe on launch day or maybe in the next week. But it's
so we could call
That's awesome.
Interview with the Vampire.
Yes. Love it.
That's great.
Thank you. Thank you for laughing at that.
Yeah.
Any kind of Lestat or Anne Rice or humor. I love all vampires. Love it. I always have been too. Like Buffy and
Buffy's so good.
Oh God, I had
Buffy.
a crush on Spike, and then I had a crush on Eric Northman, and then I had a crush on him. I mean, I just like systematically crushed on vampires until I made one myself. You know,
I have a
You
question.
essentially Anne Rice yourself.
I did. I enriced myself.
Well, I have a question because of the comedy stuff. Tell me you've seen Dead and Loving It.
100%, 100%.
Yes.
Dracula Dead and Loving It. Yes, I love What We Do in the Shadows. I think that what
Oh
they are
man. Yes.
genius. So
great.
funny. So Jeffrey Daytona. I love.
Human bartender.
Oh my God, I love them. Yeah.
That is awesome.
I actually also love, like, there's a really obscure vampire movie with Tom Hiddleston and Tilda Swinton called Only Lovers Left Alive. And it's a fascinating take on vampires, like, that you just don't see. I love that.
Oh, would have take that one down.
Yeah.
Yeah, Only Lovers Left
I'm
Alive.
surprised that went under the radar, given that it was.
Yeah, I mean, like, of course I want to see Tom Hiddleston as a vampire. Like, what?
Yeah. There's actually a really an older one. It was I can't remember the name of it right now, but it was Jim Carrey's first ever movie, and it was about vampires too. And
Oh,
Really?
I'm not recalling it right now because it's been forever since I've seen it, but it was a hilarious movie.
Oh my God. We also just loved
Once bitten.
Vampires versus the Bronx.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
That was super fun.
My kids loved it. Oh my God, how have I not mentioned the Lost Boys?
The Lost Boys. Oh my God.
Saxophone.
Oh, okay. Lost Boys is my favorite all-time
Yes.
vampire movie.
Yes.
My wife knows this.
Yes.
I was a
Oh,
super
everything
big,
about it.
like horror literature fan. I still am, but when I was a teenager, of course, it was like young adult fiction and such. And there was an author called Darren Shan. I don't know if he's still writing. It's been so long. It's been about 10 years since I've looked.
Okay.
But he did the Vampire's Assistant movie.
Okay.
It was based on his saga of Darren Shan. It's so good. It's
So
so
good.
good. It's very like teen horror, of course, but like
Listen, I do not discriminate. I love YA. Like, I'm a
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
43-year-old woman, and I will pick up YA in the bookstore without hesitation.
oh, it's so good.
Great genre.
There's libraries are your best source for that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that Jim Carrey movie. Kid Buck was. It's called Once Bitten.
Yeah,
So-
one
No,
Once
I
Bitten.
don't remember that.
that was
Yeah.
1985.
Yeah, 85. Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah, that was
Okay. Once bitten.
good
That's
to
a
look
good
into
one.
that. That seems fascinating.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Bill, guess what we're doing tonight?
Yeah. Bitten. Okay.
Right?
We just watched Day Shift. That was last.
Oh,
like,
that was.
Oh,
Oh, I love that movie.
that
It was
first scene was like, oh my God, just grabs
amazing.
you. Oh my
Yeah.
God, that
The-
crazy.
I watched the
grandma.
behind the scenes stuff with that, and they use real contortionists and stuff for those scenes.
You know, I could tell that wasn't CG. It's funny. I actually have a student who's a contortionist, and she will literally in class, like, just like bend over and sit on her own head. Like,
Oh,
Okay.
That's so
gosh.
cool.
oh my
That
God.
is
Yes.
cool,
I've
but
seen
creepy.
I've seen
where did you
people
put your
do that.
bones?
Yeah. Crazy. So cool.
Yeah, that is
Like,
awesome.
did you just put your bones in a bag in the locker?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
that was
Day
really
Shift's a
cool.
great movie.
Really cool scene. I love, I mean, it's got vampires. I'm here for it.
That's me.
so, outside of course, your platformery, dating sim, and horror games and such, is there a genre that you've ever wanted to work on, like outside of like video games? Because I know you said that you were a writer and a teacher and such.
Yeah. So I've written urban fantasy, I've written romance, I've written comedy.
Mhm.
Fantasy is my like dream genre, and like that's what I grew up reading. Like, I'm a huge Wheel of Time fan. I'm a huge
Yes,
Anderson fan.
so am I. Oh my god.
Yeah. So I actually, let me, like, real quick, I got to show my ring. So when I was 16, I was such a Wheel of Time fan that I bought a Great Serpent ring on
Oh my god.
internet,
wow.
very early internet, like before, like dial up early internet. And I've had this ring since I was 16, and I still have it, and I still wear it every day because I'm such a big Wheel of Time fan. And I met Robert Jordan, and I showed him that I cut my wedding cake with a heron mark sword, and he called
Oh my
me
god.
So that was like something that I will keep like living in my heart forever. But I did try my hand at fantasy. I did a I don't know if you know what NaNoWriMo is. It's National
Yes,
Novel.
yes, yes.
So
I
a
wanted
few
to do
years
that
ago,
so bad when I was a teen.
before working on Romancelvania, I wrote a 90,000 word fantasy in 30 days.
Oh,
And it was crazy. It was too complex. I probably shouldn't have written a 90,000 word fantasy in 30 days. It was just too like unwieldy. Like I think that if I really wanted to take the time and go back and like expand and edit and expand and edit and expand, that I could. But
how
I
much
think
do I have to pay you for that?
I just wanted to prove to myself that I could write fantasy, and it's pretty good. But my agent, you know, she gave me detailed notes. She's like, great job for NaNoWriMo, but you know, it needs some work. But she did like the core of it, and I still like the core of it. I just don't know when I'm ever gonna get around to it.
Like, how much
Like,
do I have
writing
to
it-
pay for this to
Right.
exist?
What was that?
How much do I have to pay for this to exist in my
I know. No, I don't think you want to. It's way too. I got way too ambitious. Like it's a multi-generational fantasy. Like I don't know what I was thinking. I should have stuck to like a
love
very
that.
straightforward. But I was like, no, I'm gonna do all of these characters and all of these it was very silly. But, but I did it, right? Like that's what's
Yeah.
important, is that I did it.
Do you have last minute things that you have to do in the like this last week?
There's promotional stuff. There's always promotional stuff. There's always more. You know, I could probably, you know, be on social media more, engaging more. I am polishing up for backers. So backers are able to get Wicked Spirits, which is the book I wrote about Vess. So that will be included with certain tiers of backers. So I'm putting the final touches on that. I'm just giving it a reread because it's been so long.
It's funny because I pulled it up on Google because I was just like, does this exist?
No. They're backers. They're gonna get to read Vess and her backstory. And
Can I be a late backer entry?
you know, I am gonna include a forward being like, hey, yo, so this was like my first book. It's like my first book. So
Getting the deep lore here.
it's
Yeah.
deep lore, but it's also very old, and I was learning the craft. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's early. Yeah.
So cool though.
that is cool.
It is like if any of the backers read it, I'll be honored. You know, like I don't know if this is the kind of thing that they're just like, yeah, it's included in the bundle. I really just wanted the soundtrack, but you know, it'll be nice if they read it. Sure.
I like that. It's like concept stuff. It's like
Yeah.
when
They really long ones.
yeah.
Oh,
Honestly, like what I want to see is I want to see people start writing Romancelvania fanfic. I will read it. They won't know that the writer is but I will read all of it. I will read it. I want to see if people ship contestants, like with Drac not involved.
Yes.
Like,
Oh.
Yes.
Ooh.
like, that's not a feature that we could have put into the game, but I'm like, do
Yes.
people ship Fenton and Robert? I need to know, you know.
Who do you ship? I need to know. Tell me your dirty secret.
Honestly, I think Fenton and Robert would be an amazing couple. Just because Robert is this pirate who has seen the world, and Fenton is this bookish nerd who only sees his books and his cheese. And I feel like he and Robert would be able to like come together. There's this, all I have to say is make sure you watch the credits all the way through. You may see
Always.
characters interacting.
awesome.
Oh, I'm so excited to play this
You and me
game.
both.
Yeah.
Like
I
launch
am-
day. It's been on my wish list for a while.
my
so,
God.
like,
I am-
launch
it's on my
day,
wish list
hitting
too,
that
for
buy
sure.
button.
Thank you.
I
Thank
can't wait.
Of
so
course.
much. So much.
Do you have any questions for us?
No, I think we covered all of the goods. What are you all playing right now, I guess? What's everybody playing right now that excites you?
I'm playing Outer Wilds currently.
Nice.
I started it ages ago, but you know how it is when you
Oh,
start other
I know.
games and never ever finish one.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I have to finish this because everybody says it's so good and I'm gonna cry. So there's that plus about 5 starting farms. You know, You know how it goes. I just bought with my partner Blanc, which released
Mm.
last week, I believe.
Great.
I'm very excited for that because it has online co-op. So
Hmm.
I love when these types of games put online co-op because all of my friends are online.
Mm.
Yeah, I for me, okay, well, for I'm streaming. I stream horror games. That's my main thing mostly, and some retro and stuff. But right now I'm playing Madison, which is
Oh,
very very scary. Scares the living crap out of me.
is that the one like
Um,
the Polaroid?
Yeah, the Polaroid. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Madison.
Yeah, just streamed it yesterday, and it just I glitched. Yeah, that was a very scary experience. But
Okay.
offline though, I'm very addicted to like shooters. So like I've been playing like Battlefield like crazy. I love Battlefield. That's like the only shooter that I get addicted to.
Okay.
And then I'm still going through Ender Lilies, which is
Oh
a
yeah.
great Metroidvania. I'm kind of stuck right now. Yeah, I've been trying to
It
finish
happens to the best of us.
that.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be right back while I contact Behavior Dead by Daylight to add some of these characters into Dead by Daylight.
There you
Give me
go.
Drac in Dead by Daylight.
Oh, I would
Oh,
love
there you
that.
go. That would be pretty dope. Or we can get Alucard in Romancelvania.
Hey, oh my god.
Wait, love
That's
that.
who I would ship.
There you go.
Just me.
It's like, what's her name from Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night?
Mary.
Miriam,
Oh, yeah.
Miriam. Yeah,
which
yeah,
I
yeah.
love that game too.
It's a good one.
That was a great one. Yeah, Miriam's
Who are you
awesome.
playing, Gray?
I on YouTube am finally going back to finish We Happy Few because I never
Oh,
finished
yeah.
that one.
Oh yeah.
It was
So-
really fun. And on Twitch, I just beat Mass Effect 3 for the first time. I had never
Oh.
played them.
Oh my god. So you finished it. Like,
Mhm.
oh my god. How do you feel about it?
I really liked it. I liked the
Yeah.
ending that I got. I got the symbiosis, I think was what it was called.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
I was happy with it. I'm still gonna go back and play Legendary Edition and Andromeda.
As you
Um,
should.
Yeah, so I'm like
Mhm.
really excited to continue that. But since I finished that, I just started also for the first time The Evil Within.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Very good.
I loved the
Great
start
games.
of The Evil Within. I never got very far in it because I'm terrible at shooting games.
Oh,
Um,
him too.
but God, the start of it with what I am assuming was a serial killer, and you're like swinging, trying to like get off and such. It's like that was a really cool opening.
Mhm.
Very
Yeah,
strong
yeah.
opening. They
Yeah.
just throwing you right into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. Part 2, on the other hand, I'm still stuck with, so I haven't touched it in a bit. But Evil Within, great games too. Yeah.
And I assume that you're not currently playing, or are you currently playing anything else during the
I've-
crazy
I'm
development?
like I said, tunnel vision for Romancelvania, but my kids are playing Ocarina of Time. No, not Ocarina, Majora's Mask
Oh,
Nice.
right
I
now.
Great.
love Majora's
And
Mask.
it's
Those.
crazy to watch my little ones get kind of like spooked by the like
Yeah.
they're freaking like just the sense of time is so terrifying. Like time shouldn't scare you, but it does.
But it
Like
does, yeah.
Yeah,
Dawn of the
yeah.
first day, shit, like it just there's that weird tension. And my son is trying to beat it because my 14-year-old's trying to beat it because apparently 7 years ago, yesterday was the first time he beat it when he was 7. So he's got to do it again. And I'm like, why?
That's-
Like, why is
I
this?
love that he remembers that.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I do not know how he remembers, but it's been a joy to watch like my whole family play Majora. That's been fun.
That's awesome.
Are
That's
you
so
are you
cool.
excited for Tears of the Kingdom?
Yeah. Okay. So yes, but it looks like more of the same, which isn't bad. But I
Fair.
kind of like expect things to be a little bit more reinvented, a little bit more evolved if we've waited that long. And-
I understand that.
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild is such a thing. It was
Yeah. I
revolution.
accept it because like of course it's in the same engine and such, and it is like a direct sequel. Sort of like how like the Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask were.
Right, but
I kind of accept it in that sort of way.
right, but when you do a sequel, you need to either double down or subvert. Right. So take Terminator 2.
Yes.
The original
Yeah.
Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger was the enemy.
Mhm.
Terminator 2 subverted it, made him the good guy, and then doubled down by making an enemy that was just like for the time, like absolutely revolutionary, right?
Yeah.
So like you either double down, you subvert, or you double down and subvert, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when I see the trailer for Tears of the Kingdom, I don't see any of that. I'm not saying it's going to be bad. I'm just saying
of course.
I am not excited by the trailers, and
Mhm.
I'm a little finicky, but that's
It's one of those like we'll see kind of situations.
I'm in that
Maybe
same
get
boat
that.
it's
too.
going to be great. Like how could it not be great? It's going to be
right.
great, but you know, do they take it to that next level that I think it deserves? I don't know.
I'm excited to see what Nintendo are going to do with it, especially since, like, of course, like they pushed the date back and such.
Right.
But
maybe this is when Zelda enters her villain era.
Please,
Ooh.
she deserves that.
Okay.
That's the DLC I want.
Jeez. Yeah, there
She
you go.
deserves that. After all of this time, like,
Yeah.
It's like
I'm in the
done.
same boat though with
Something.
Zelda.
let her eat. Like,
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just out here, just waiting for Pikmin 4. The pre-order, it's there.
Yeah.
Give me my little guys.
I'm just waiting on this Fatal Frame 4.
Oh,
release.
Fatal
Yes.
Frame. Oh,
Yes.
those games scared the shit out of
Yeah.
me.
Same.
I didn't even finish the first one. I got scared.
Oh my God. Just the idea of like, there's nothing spooky there. Like just that one mechanic. It's like, yeah, I
Yes.
don't need any more scares in my life.
Yeah. I just made
see.
that my follow alert too, which is funny because
That's awful.
that's actually how me and Gray became friends, is because I
Nice.
saw her playing Fatal Frame. So it's my
Oh,
favorite game
isn't that a
series.
nice little throwback? What a great way to sort of
Yeah.
come full circle.
Yeah.
But for me, like a Fatal Frame 1, it was when you go into that little room and there's the kid that's crawling on the floor. It's like the room with the dolls. I was like,
Oh.
No.
please stop. Horror games I'm picking. Please stop with the dolls.
Oh,
Yeah, the
God.
dolls get me. Dolls are
I
the bad
went
thing
to
for me.
Japan and I've seen a lot of those shrines and whatnot. And there was part of me that's like, do I put my camera up or not?
Oh.
Did you end up putting it up?
I put it up. There was
Nice.
nothing
You were
there.
braver
I'm
than I
okay. I lived. I survived.
am. Or did you?
Mm. Oh man,
I love that.
that is great.
But thank you so much for doing
Yes.
this and chatting with us. This was
This was so fun.
yeah, and congratulations for this new game.
Yes.
I'm again like so excited to buy it, play it, stream it. Like,
Make
just,
sure
like,
you tag me. I'll share. Tag me. I'll share. I'll watch. I can't wait. Yeah, I mean,
Definitely, for
I'll
sure.
even watch you play it and I'll like comment.
I was saying this actually, like I was just like, how fun would that be if if
Right.
Amanda would be down for like just popping into streams and like being like, oh, in this area, here's like a cool fact, like here's an Easter egg. And
Yeah,
I'd be like,
That actually, I would love to do that. Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
amazing.
Hell yeah.
for sure. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited. I cannot wait to get this and start. I love
Yeah.
Metrovanias. This is going to be dope.
Oh my God, you guys made my day. No, actually, no day made my day. You guys are tied with that.
I hope that you and your family enjoy your snow day tomorrow.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much. This was a blast.
This
Yes.
was
Oh my
awesome.
God, this was so awesome.
It was.
All right, let's stay in touch.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Thank you guys.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so
Thank you.
much.
Have a good night.
See ya.